Who's gonna care? Who's gonna be like, why are these guys talking about a show that's 3 years old?
That's what makes our show fun. How dynamic and chit-chatty we get.
Yeah, we're so good.
Welcome to the show. We're trying our new format again. We haven't got a lot of good feedback on the... We haven't gotten any feedback on the new format.
You know what? You know what that means? No feedback means good feedback.
No bad feedback on the new format, so we're trying it again.
Yeah. No news is good news.
So...
Oh...
Do it.
Right.
I don't have music to cue.
Okay, just pretend like
it'll be in post,
right,
just like last time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Above the Board with Josh and Phil, where we stay above the board. Oh, that's your line, my bad. I did it again.
Change it up completely.
I don't have my script.
That's fine.
I don't have my script.
It's up here. Hey, God.
Mulligan.
All right, we checked the stream title, so we're ready to go.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Above the Board with Josh and Phil.
Where we stay above the board.
With Josh
and Phil.
Above
the board. He still did it different. Above the board is recorded in front of a live streaming audience. Join us at twitch.tv above the board.
Before we get above the board and play, what we're going to play, just like last time, we're going to talk about what's been fueling our geeky hearts, because, Phil, it's been a hot minute. It's been a hot
I had no idea what you're geeking on.
No idea. No clue.
It's a total mystery.
Well, there's one thing I know for sure that we're both geeking on, because we were there together, hand in hand, stride in stride, at GenCon 2022.
Sorry. We're just in the hot attic of their house. I'm forever grateful I wore shorts.
Yeah, it's so hot up here. But hopefully that'll change here soon. As in, we'll be in the cooler months. Not that the air circulation will be better.
Geeking.
Yeah.
Together.
GenCon 2022 was amazing.
It was your first GenCon.
It was my first. Yeah, no, it was great, man. It was a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, my expectations were, like, fairly high from, like, what you and other friends have mentioned before. But I will say that the actual experience exceeded my already high expectations.
Wow.
Yeah, and maybe that's because I'm still kind of like a baby board game player in comparison to a lot of the people that were there.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, there's like people playing the same train game for the last 40 years.
That's true. That is true. But, like, I don't know.
I'm not knocking it. But it's
like,
no. There's like all these little pockets of culture in Gen Con.
If there's anything I learned at every tournament that we played in, well, I really just the King of Tokyo one. Yeah. That's like when I had the chance to talk to the most people at once.
Yeah.
Is that most of the people there were like, they had their favorite games, but also like just their like favorite type of games that they only stick to. And like they don't venture, not just like the one game they've been playing for 40 years, but like...
No, that's why I mentioned the train game. There's like a corner, they're like a club called the Puffing Billies or something that sponsor only train games. Okay. They have a whole corner of the game section, and it's like the same Billies. 50 old guys show up every year and play the same games. My dad was like trying a new one.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've always wanted to play it. I heard it's really good. And these guys have played it so much. Before he did anything, they'd be like, stop. You'll lose if you do that. Do this. Like, and they just like couldn't even learn the game because they've played it so many times.
Jeez. It's impressive. There's one guy that was like, he's like, what's your favorite game, like, of all time? And I was like,
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I was like, like Wingspan.
I think that's a good answer.
And he was like, yeah, he was nice. He was like, oh, Wingspan, that's a good one. Like, what do you like about it? I was like, I'm a bird enthusiast.
It's the only right answer.
Yeah. It wasn't, like, he was super nice and super, like, oh, I'm glad you're here, you know, I hope you enjoy yourself. Like, he was very inclusive. But he was like,
oh, you're too basic for me.
Yeah, he was kind of like, you're not at the same level that I'm at, buddy. Like, if you're not spending hundreds of dollars on miniatures a month, maybe?
Dude. I can't.
Then we can't have this conversation. I'm not entirely sure why I asked, other than being polite, I guess. But no, I had a great time, man. I had an excellent time. Like, I had a blast walking around with you, like, just demoing stuff like that. The escape games were pretty cool, like, from Escape from Dark Sector and from
Dark Castle. Yeah, we played the new one, and then we played the original.
One. Yeah, and oddly enough, the original was sold out, but not the new one.
Should have got it, man. It would have been great for the show.
Yeah. Hindsight's always 20/20. But I enjoyed the I don't know, the different mechanics that I came across, like the different games that were demoed. I don't quite know what I was expecting to come across, being one that's only played games for, like 2 years, I guess. But like that dive game, like overall, was it a great game? No.
Which
but like
one?
they had like the little cheats, and you had to determine like how many sharks or turtles or whatever.
Oh, that game.
Yeah.
The dive game.
Yeah,
I thought you said die game.
No.
And I was like,
dive.
all the games have dice.
No.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Dive.
Oh, the one
dive.
that didn't have dice.
Yeah, no. Had tokens.
Dude, that game was wild.
Yeah.
Dive. So check it out. It's like a family game, I would maybe say.
Yeah, I would definitely
But
say.
they have like these like translucent sheets of pictures of sharks and fish.
turtles.
Or turtles.
And rays.
And so when they stack them up, you can't like see to the bottom. And the game is you like guess how many, turtles you can see before you see a shark, basically. It's not a good pitch for it, but it plays really neat. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Because then you peel off all the layers to see who is right, and it's like a race to the bottom. That sounds bad too.
Yeah. Well, you're diving down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Is the premise.
To be the better diver.
But
Are
yeah.
you merfolk in that game? I couldn't tell. Like, were you diving past the
remember.
merfolk, or were you a merfolk yourself?
I would say not a merfolk, because the cover art on the box was like just a snorkeler.
Okay.
Sure. So I would assume that
You
that's
just see him
supposed
in
to be
passing.
Yeah, as you do. Like when you go diving, you're like, hey, there's definitely some aquatic cryptids hanging out. It's normal. But yeah, no, there's just tons and tons of stuff. There's like some weird games too that seemed interesting, that were like a little like quirky, like that dinner one. What was it called? Surrealist Dinner Party?
Yeah.
That was an interesting one.
It's super strong on theme.
Yeah.
But like mechanic wise, it was just like a, token selection game.
Yeah.
Which is still fun.
But
if you like
art on
surreal
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the art was top notch. So if you're big into thematic games, that's a good one.
Yeah. While you were doing your Magic tournament, I demoed a couple interesting games like Fossil. I don't know if you've seen that one before. It's basically like a tile like movement game. Like you like stack up these tiles that have fossils in them.
Yeah.
And then you like move your token around and like move these chunks of clay out of the way to like get the fossils. And you're basically rebuilding dinosaurs, and that's how you get your victory points.
Oh, neat.
But like you have cards that you can play that like let you move differently and stuff like that, or like have different effects on what you're digging or how you're digging.
Okay.
Instead of digging like horizontally where you're sliding the tiles out.
So you didn't buy that one though, did you?
No.
So it wasn't a winner.
Wasn't no, but I mean it was still cool. The ones that I did get, I mean Letter Jam.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. That's a good one.
I almost played it today.
Yeah? Where?
When my family got together.
Oh, nice.
And we brought that and this other game, Just One. And Just One was the one they picked.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to jam my Letter Jam yet.
I've played Letter Jam a couple times with the family. I played Drop Dungeon a few times with Sadie.
Yes. Drop Dungeon is one we both demoed and both enjoyed enough to buy and play with their kid.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That's a really fun one.
I'm actually, you know how when we were there, I was like, I might get Galaxy Trucker, the app.
Yeah.
It's really cheap right now. It's like $20 on Amazon and
The
like
game?
Barnes and Noble. Yeah, I swear. It's
What?
like $23, $24.
I just spent an Amazon gift card today. I'm
So-
going back. You keep talking.
No, you're
I'll
fine.
pull up Amazon.
Look at Amazon or look at Barnes and Noble because it was super cheap.
Barnes & Noble's not cheap for anything ever.
I promise you. I wouldn't lie to you. It was like $30 normally, but then it was on sale online for like $19.99 last week. I don't know if it still is.
So are you saying you bought it, or you just
I'm going to
noticed
get
was
it because it keeps showing up as
Okay.
relatively cheap.
So it's $28 on Amazon.
That definitely went up. It was like 23 something. But
Yeah.
anyway.
No, that was when we played the giant one. They had it set up so instead of having a board, it was like a floor mat.
Yeah.
And like all the tiles were like floor tiles instead of like the normal 1 inch by 1 inch.
That was a lot of fun though. I had a lot of fun. It's just I feel like the guy that demoed it was a little out of it. He was a little spacey.
I feel like you did a pretty good job. I think the problem was we played with somebody who had like a handicap that didn't let them move around well.
Yeah.
And so the guy, you could tell he was stuck in this weird spot. Because he definitely wanted to be inclusive. It's not like we wanted them not to play.
Right.
But you had to like run to the middle of the floor and then run back to your ship. And then the person with this disabled person was like a real like rule stickler for a game that's supposed to be chaotic. And so it just made like a weird vibe.
Yeah.
But the elements are there that I want to play it with people who want to like laugh at how badly they build their spaceships. Like that's the crowd.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to pick that up here pretty soon. I also played a round of The Hunger with a friend of mine. Is that a Richard Garfield game or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Where vampires...
I'm sure it plays really well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you dig it.
I'm sure. I almost kickstarted it.
It's like premises you basically have to run out and feed as much as you can and power up to be the most powerful vampire
I should have thought about you. I should have known you would want to play it because I was running through my head. I was like, this group of friends like would not like eating people as a theme for a game.
Nah,
I was like, this other group of friends doesn't like the drafting very much. Like, but it would have been great for the show.
Yeah,
we would have gone hard.
Yeah, probably gonna pick that up though because it was a good play.
All right,
it was pretty fun.
I think I'm gonna buy this $28 Galaxy Trucker.
All right,
and then you can get.
I'll get The Hunger.
The Hunger.
Yeah, but honestly though, I think one of the most fun that I had at GenCon with you was the 2 Rooms and a Boom experience.
I was just talking about that. How I wish we'd signed up for more.
Yeah. That was so much fun. And I actually had tons of fun playing Secret Hitler with that group.
Yeah. And
it's mainly because, like, just their personalities, like, mesh so well, you know, with themselves. And, like, even though it was a little awkward at first with us, like, they were good people.
It's like, they had so much fun playing it, they signed up to play it again at the same time we walked in.
Yeah.
So even though I think in general they didn't know each other.
Yeah.
But they had an hour of Secret Hitler together.
Yeah. They were really cool people. I like them.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's like a social game. The people that game clicks with are people who are like fun to talk with.
Yeah, but 2 Rooms and a Boom, man, that game was so much fun.
Dude, I know. So I have trouble describing it to people because it's so weird.
Yes, and there's so many rules. Like roles.
Yes.
Not necessarily rules.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty basic in that there's 2 rooms and one team. There's 2 teams and 2 rooms. Yeah. They're not connected. And one team has a terrorist and the other team has the president. And so the idea is that the terrorists want to have the terrorist bomber in the same room as the president to win. And the other team wants to keep them separate to win. And you do it by you each have a card with your role. And so you're either red team or blue team. And you could be red team, bomber, blue team, president. And that's like the gist of it, is that after like 2 or 3 minutes of going up to people being like, want to show me your card? Then someone is in charge of like sending 3 hostages to the other room. And then you can like vote out the person who's the hostage sender.
Yeah. No,
and then leader. What makes it fun is that we played with like 30 people, right? Yeah. And so there's all these like different roles for the teams. Like there were spies where your card looks red, but you're actually on the blue team. And then there's all these like neutral roles. With like an assassin trying to find a target to assassinate and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the neutral roles
it was just wild.
Get out of control
because that description sounds weird, and you don't really get the game until you play it. Because I knew that before we went in, and I'm like, I've heard it's fun, so we should try it. Yeah. And that first game, I feel like we both were like awkwardly like, what do we do? Who do we?
I was a shy guy.
Oh, you were supposed to be shy the first
Yeah, that first game I was like, and I kept getting called out for being like weirdly shy, and I was like, I mean, I'm fulfilling my role. What do you want me to do?
But for me, it took like the first game before it clicked. Where I was like, oh, what you do is you try to get as much info as possible and trade it with other people. Yeah. In order to get like your president away from the bomb or the bomb with the president.
Or if you just want to be one of the winning people, like if you're a neutral party. Yeah. Like, you can sell out both teams, which is really interesting. Like, if you get, like... For example, there's the Romeo and Juliet, and they have to be together and with the bomb. Yes. And if you know the bomb is with the president, or like if you know the bomb is in one room and the president's in the other, and like one of the other people that you need to be with is like with the president, you can like try to like coerce whoever's like handling the hostages to get like, hey, don't you need that guy over here? Well, maybe you should get them too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that when it's all over, like whoever the terrorists are, they win, but you win too because your partner.
Yeah, it's just like all about this like trading information. So as I got really aggressively like talking to people, I went from being like too shy to talk to anyone to be like, show me your card. Who are you? I'll show you mine.
Give me all of your information.
My favorite was like the last game where they introduced the hot potato, which makes the game crazy. In that if you ask to see the card of the person with the hot potato, they give it to you and you switch roles. Yeah. And so the whole game I was this one role, and at the end when they called it out to see if they won, Josh looks at me, and I don't raise my hand. He's like, what are you doing? And then they're like, here's the hot potato. I'm like, it's me. The last 20 seconds of the game, the hostage came over, so I was like, oh, hey, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm glad you asked. Give me your card.
You're like, dang it.
I was like,
That's
oh.
funny. Also, I was thinking about this the other day, our epic failure at Codenames Duet.
Dude, I'm pretty sure we were like in the lead after round 1.
Dude, yes. So, because they're like, after the second round we lost, they're like, well, you still got a chance to come out on top.
If you haven't played Codenames, it's where you like give a word clue and then your teammates have to like find it on the board. In Duets, it's like a co-op version where you take turns giving clues for different answers, which is pretty neat. I hadn't played Duet, so I like that in general.
Yeah.
But we were like above the board twins round 1. We had like, because you get 1 point for finishing and then 1 point for each guess you didn't need to use.
Yeah.
And we got like 3 or 4 points round 1.
3, I think, yeah.
And then round 2, you hit the assassin, right? Like you jumped on the clue.
I was on fragrant purse.
Yes, my clue was fragrant, and you guessed purse, and I was like, "What's a fragrant purse? Come on!" But it's
because I was thinking of perfume in a purse.
Yeah, and so I mean, I get it afterwards, but I was like, "How'd you get there?" So the assassin put us out, so we got 0 points for the round. And going into it, I was like, "I assume you have to finish every round to win."
Yeah,
and then the judge came by right as saying like, "Oh, I guess we're out." And she's like looking at the scoreboard like, no, I think you guys could still do it.
Yeah.
And then your clue for me was tunnel.
Tunnel, yeah.
And I guessed forest
but,
for the assassin, and we lost.
Or was it forest?
Oh, you said forest.
Forest, and then you
because
chose
I was supposed
tunnel.
to say monkey.
Yeah. Because there was sloth and monkey. And you were like going back and forth between the two. Because I was like, in my head, I was like, crap, I didn't see sloth. It's going to be 2 jungle animals. And he's going to be like, nah, he would say jungle. Which is what you said. You're like, well, why wouldn't you say jungle? I'm like, dang it.
Yep. But I was doing the tournament calculus. And I was like, I know we can't waste a turn. So I was like, you know, when you're going through the highway and there's a lot of trees, you're always like, it looks like a tunnel. So I guess tunnel for forest.
I get that too. But you also completely blindsided me. I was like, there's no way he's going to go with this one.
I know the rules are you can't, like, as the clue giver, like, you know, make hints, eyes at the person to give him hints.
Yeah. And
I was just like, this is such a crazy guess. If I say it, he'll either, like, give me the knowing look or the please don't look. So I just had to go for it.
Yeah. You shot your shot, and it did not land.
So we went from first to last.
Yeah. It was funny, though, because that was like, it's a running gag now.
Yeah.
Like, your friggin' purse and your...
Forest tunnel.
Forest tunnel.
It is, so... like, you were talking about trying all the new games and stuff, which is a great selling point of GenCon, but I just love the tournaments.
Yeah.
Like you're saying. So I'm, like, super pumped. We did the King of Tokyo tournament. I made it to the final table. The guy... to my left won by making the play I was planning on playing. And if I'd thought about it, I could have blocked him. So I was like, oh, so close.
Nice.
And then we bombed out of that Duet tournament.
Yeah.
And then the other tournament I did was that Magic tournament, which I did win. It's kind of a short one, but it was a blast. It was with the convention booster packs. So if you're into Magic at all, they had these weird playtest cards that you can only get at conventions with these packs or whatever. And it was silly. Crazy things happened. I had a card that lets you search the cards that they didn't play with and put it in the game for free.
It's okay. When you're doing that, that's when I was like roaming the floor and hackling with people.
I know. That was my favorite part too, where you're like, I'm going to go do some shopping. And I was like, well, you can come over and get the keys for me and put stuff in the car.
Yeah.
And he never shows up until the event's over. And you had that giant gaming bag filled to the
massive
brim.
bag that could fit me if I was like curled up.
See, that's why I was bombing on Fossil earlier, because I was like, he bought so many games.
Actually, I only bought 4, 5.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably 5. Drop Dungeon, Letter Jam, Trap Words, Brew, maybe one more.
Time before I went to GenCon, I basically bought something because I felt like it was wrong to go to GenCon and not buy a new game. But that was also the one where I just played Magic the whole time, and was like, I paid way too much money to play Magic for 3 days.
I might as well spend more money on a game that I'm going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting Star Wars Villainous, though.
Oh,
I didn't get it at Gen Con. I was going to, but I ended up not getting it.
Have you played it yet or looked at the characters?
I looked at the characters. They're legit. Like Grievous, like his end game for his board is hunt Jedis and get their lightsabers.
Nice.
which makes sense.
I would totally pick Grievous.
Yeah, dude, Grievous is probably my favorite one. Vader's one's pretty cool too. Is you have to get Luke on your board and get him to the Emperor's throne room and have him conflicted in the Force.
That seems really complicated.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's quite possible, but
yeah. When I demoed on the floor, one of the developers, that's who he played as, was Vader. I was Ventress, Asajj Ventress, or whatever.
Oh yeah, with her crooked lightsaber handles.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. But then you also got Moff Gideon, which I feel like is a weird.
He's from
villain,
Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they got to capitalize on the hot new Star Wars.
I guess, but I mean, like to have him instead of like Count Dooku.
To me, it's like Asajj Ventress instead of Count Dooku's like the weird one.
Well, yeah, I guess that is true too. You could have Count Dooku and then Asajj Ventress be like one of your minion cards that you play.
But you gotta have the ladies.
Sure, yeah. I think the 6 characters are Grievous, Palpatine, Vader, Ventress, Gideon, and Kylo Ren.
Is he with shirt or without?
he's he's full armored up.
I'm not playing it.
Although I have a feeling there's like one of his power cards, you know, like his fake cards, where he's just
remove shirt. That's the title of the card.
It's just him standing there with his weird chest, looking Star Wars hot. So it was GenCon. I had a great time, and I really want to go back next year. Like, you sold me, man.
Hey, what else are you geeking on?
So I went and saw Bullet Train, and that is a fantastic movie.
I too have seen Bullet Train.
Yeah.
And
so
have to agree.
It is so good. The first trailer I saw for it doesn't do any justice.
That's true. That movie just has a big energy to it.
Yeah.
And a look and a feel, and it's just like, and it keeps going.
It's
like in
just
such a good way.
Like,
such a fun way.
It's so cliche to be like a movie's a fun ride. You know, I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Like for movies that I enjoy. Yeah. But Bullet Train is like literally such a fun ride.
But I also think it does really good of keeping on its theme, as well as like there's interesting characters in it. You know?
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting that like the characters who you think are going to be quick throwaways, like, because a lot of times like in a big ensemble action movie.
Yeah,
like,
that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that like you expect it to be more like a cameo.
Yeah.
But instead they're like characters whose arcs kind of come back and intertwine and stuff.
Yeah, and then like they add like heart to a movie that you didn't expect it to at all. Like not in an emotional way, but you're like, oh, that character meant something for this like series of events.
I think the best is the guy who's like comparing everyone to Thomas the Tank Engine characters.
Lemon,
yeah, but then it becomes like a whole theme, like a huge part of the story.
Who figuring out who Diesel is?
Yeah,
so good. The action is fantastic. Like it's so like well choreographed and like well shot. Like there's not a moment in that movie where I like. A lot of times when I see an action movie in theaters, like it gets me a little dizzy. Maybe it's
with the shaky cam and the like
quick cuts. Like a lot of the quick cuts, like back and forth.
Like they're trying to like put energy in a scene when an actor really doesn't know how to fight or something.
Yeah, or they're trying to cover up the stuntman.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they have like a 5'6" actor and then they have a 6'4" stuntman. They're trying to cover up.
I don't want to talk about MULA ants too much. but when he's driving down that gutter, it's like the most obvious stuff.
I went back and I watched that. After you were talking about that at church, I went back and I watched that scene. I meant to text you because I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
It's the worst.
Like, who is this romance novel, like, decked out cover guy that's, like, shooting out outside of the ambulance that's clearly not Jake Gyllenhaal? Yeah,
he's got the build of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes.
And then, obviously, a wig to look like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. Like, his arms, his biceps were immense as he's hanging outside.
That's so funny.
And, like, Gyllenhaal's, like, he's not a tiny dude. Like,
no, he was jacked in that movie.
Yeah.
But for this guy to be obviously bigger was so funny.
But after you mentioned that, I was like, I gotta see this. I'm curious now. I went back to
because we saw it in the literal IMAX, like the 10-story tall screen.
Yeah. So it's just glaringly
he's
obvious.
Like right there. We're like,
like this dude,
the most obvious
is like the
size
of like. It's so funny. It was hilarious. But yeah, no, Bullet Train didn't have any of that issues that I could tell.
No, it was like I feel like you could tell the people who made it loved movies.
Yeah,
because there's interesting shots and the characters interacted and acted with each other. It wasn't like so many of these big budget blockbusters where it's just like A/B shots they're cutting together because they couldn't shoot on the same day or whatever.
Yeah. I also enjoyed. I've learned that lately. Maybe I've always been this way, but like lately, I've really enjoyed physical comedy, like comedic timing.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is there's very little physical comedy going on at all
in
TV or movies.
Oh
or
yeah.
In general.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about a Bullet Train.
Oh, no, Bullet Train does it really well.
I was like, Brad Pitt's character is like he's a clown. Essentially, you know, like he's never been a physical comedian in his entire career, ever. Mm-hmm. Not once. Except for the one scene in what's the movie where he gets hit twice with the cars. It's not really a funny scene, but
I really don't know what you're talking about. He is in The Lost City with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
And he's really funny in that.
There you go. Anyway, it's going to drive me crazy. It's like an older 90s movie. He's hit twice with the same, like, two cars. And, like, they reference it in, I don't know, did you ever see Free Guy?
No.
Okay. That's a fun movie. You should check that out.
I should. It's on Disney Plus. I can watch that.
Yeah.
If you know what movie we're talking about, tweet us at ATBW, Josh and Phil.
Like An Evening with Mr. Ripley or something? No, The Talented Mr. Ripley. No, not that. I don't know. Anyway.
Believe it or not.
Whole point.
Bullet Train. So I got to see it before you.
Yeah.
And I said it reminds me of a Guy Ritchie movie. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Snatch.
Yeah.
Was that a fair?
Dude, definitely. 100%. Like, it's just an Americanized version of that. Like, okay, so like the part of that,
like, there's a lot of anime influences in Bullet Train, I would say.
Yeah, no. But like, what makes Snatch like such a perfect movie, in my opinion, is that it like encapsulates like British dark humor perfectly. And then Bullet Train is an American adaptation of a manga, so it has a lot of that anime influence in it.
Yeah.
But it's a super Americanized version of that. And,
that's true.
And it has that frenetic energy of an anime movie / like a Guy Ritchie type movie. But it's like super Americanized version of that.
Yeah.
And in that, it's just like loud, it's big, it's fast, you know what I mean? And it's just really good. Like, it was really, really fun. But yeah, I would agree. It's a very accurate description, like a Guy Ritchie Snatch-esque movie. Because like all the different like arcs that are like coming around and like tangling into each other.
I love that kind of stuff anyways.
And like how even like the final shot of the movie like gets like a mid-credit scene to explain.
So
that was fantastic. But no, the last thing I was going to say is like the physical comedy of Brad Pitt in the fight scenes was one of my favorite moments. Like, I was laughing so hard during a lot of his fight scenes because of his facial reactions. Like when he gets hit in the lips,
because he like doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, when he's like hit in the lips of the laptop at one point, which looks like it hurt. Like it looked like it hit him for real. It's hilarious. Like, it's so good. Bullet Train, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely worth watching. What are you geeking on? What else are you geeking on, Phil?
I'll briefly mention, I've been watching People of Earth. It was a TBS show. And their bumper for being TBS is like crazy loud colors and shapes. And I was like, what are they going for here? That's off topic. But People of Earth is like a show about alien abductions or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a workplace comedy, kind of. That it's kind of like, if there was a slider with The Office on one end and like X-Files on the other end. It's right in the middle.
It's fair.
You know? Like,
it's pretty fair.
Which is something that I don't think I would ever have wanted to exist.
No.
But I'm vibing it. It's like a solid B show where it's like I enjoy it and I can turn it on in the background, but I don't like love it.
Apparently there's going to be an animated X-Files comedy show done by Justin Roiland, who did Rick and Morty.
Oh.
And that's supposed to be coming.
It's like a lot. Like announcements like this get me like,
yeah.
It's like,
that's why I say supposedly. I don't
like, is it with Mulder and Scully or
no? It's like the D Team X-Files. Like that's the comedic part of it, is that they're like kind of like the
kind of like the Lower Decks Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Are they gonna do this to all our old favorite sci-fi shows?
I don't know, man. Lower Decks is actually kind of decent though. So
give me that animated Sliders. I'm here for that.
I'd watch it. I would totally watch it. Would you watch it if it was like Rick and Morty style? Like
sure. I don't know.
Type of humor. It's pretty.
The Rick and Morty
crass.
I thought was kind of funny. It's just so nihilistic to me.
Yeah.
It's like I'll watch it and be like, ha ha ha, and the episode ends and be like, I'm really sad now.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so I never really got into it.
I just feel like it is like one of the better written sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
out there.
So it is. It's one of those things where I gave it a shot, and
it's just not your cup of tea.
But, yeah,
it's all good.
Well, because it is like the kind of jokes like in that first one. It's like they shoot some alien, and he's like, "Oh, my family," or whatever. Just thought it's so funny, but it's like, oh.
There's an episode that you would hate then where it's like, I think last season, where the planet that they go to is like every time they go there, like it's another generation has skipped ahead. So throughout the episode, like different things happen to where either they go to the planet or things get sent through a portal to this planet. And like it's generations of this like one farmer alien dude that like his story gets told parallel to what Rick and Morty are doing throughout the episode. And in their timeline it's like 20 minutes, but like in that planet timeline it's like 500 years. And they like go through, it's like a farmer and he finds like some of their tech and he gets super powerful, but then he gets like overthrown by his son. It's like this like crazy Game of Thrones like storyline that like happens in the background of this episode. But yeah, you're right, because at the end like the Rick and Morty stuff wraps up. And then they cut back to their B plot, which is this like weird alien epic, like Gilgamesh or whatever, and it ends on a bad note, and then that's it. And then you're like, that's hilarious, but I'm also bummed out.
It's like the joke lands, and I laugh.
Yeah,
and it's a good enough show that I think about it, and the more I think about it, I'm more like, oh.
But it is so funny. Anyway,
it's wild. See, every time someone talks about it makes me want to watch it again. Well, before we play this game in our next follow-on episode, tell me one more thing you're geeking on.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, it's about 3 episodes in. I had 0 expectations.
So were you one of the people like let down by the final season of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yes. Like the final season of Game of Thrones, like episodes 1, 2, 3 were great because like that was leading up to the big like zombie battle that I'm sure you've heard about, like the huge fight, like the actual like big Winterfell battle with the zombies. Fantastic, great. I wasn't even part of the crowd that complained about the lighting because apparently a lot of people didn't care for how poorly lit the episode was, like when it was shot. So like a lot of the action scenes you can't really see what's going on. It's just a lot of chaos and death screams, I guess. But like I could see it fine. I didn't have any issues. But I thought that episode was great. After that, absolute garbage. It's just you could clearly tell that they were just ending it and had no desire to like do any justice to what they've built. You know what I mean? And like
I do, but it's like hard to believe.
It's
there had to be somebody who's like, this is a good idea.
I don't know, man. They want it out. They want it out with season 7. So
they did?
I believe it. And they're those type. They did. One of them anyway wrote and produced X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
So that's evidence enough for me.
Just getting his paycheck and going home?
Exactly, yeah.
Alright, so anyways, House of Dragons is the prequel, right?
Yeah, so it's like 170-something years before the events of the Game of Thrones show.
No expectations.
Yeah, like 0 expectations. Didn't really watch any of the trailers. Like, watched the first trailer that came out at Comic-Con. Like, the big trailer. Sure. And after that, I was like, alright, we'll see how it goes. I'm hooked, man. I love it. It's great. It's very well done. I read the book that it's based on.
There's a book that it's based on?
Yeah.
Did George R.R. Martin not actually... Did he finish the final book of Game of Thrones?
No. Because he wrote this book that came out, I want to say in like 2015?
Dude, yeah.
14 or 15?
I guess he's kind of hosed. Like, because he's got to wrap up his series for that book. Dude. And now everyone kind of hates the series because of the wrap-up the TV show gave it.
I was just talking to Matt about this.
Maybe that's what happened. Like, he had all those ideas. And the writers are like, really? This is what we got to turn into a show? And now he's like, whoa, no one likes that.
And they're like in the writer's room and they're like, George, what are you doing to us, man? Like, we have a reputation. He's like, yeah, but I'm like 60 years older than all of you.
He's like, this is what I got.
I don't know what to tell you.
Trust me.
You'll be
all
right.
We got us this far.
You'll bounce back. Let's test the waters so that way when I do the book, I can change it. And I look like the good guy and you guys look like a bunch of schlubs. Studio schlubs. Like you are. And I'm like, you're fired. And he's like, you can't fire me. I'm a producer. But anyway, it's super good. Highly recommend for any Game of Thrones fan. Like I said, the book that it's based on, it's not so much like a cohesive like point A to point Z story. It's like the telling of like the history of the lineage.
Okay.
Still,
so is
in
the
like,
show trying to like skip around like the history of the lineage?
yeah, so they're doing
Okay.
time jumps. Like the first few episodes are in one sequence, and then like there's a time jump in the next episode, and then presumably every few episodes there'll be another like time jump that goes, if not like just a few years, like maybe even decades, and like later seasons it could jump up to decades later. And then they've already announced that several of the cast, or several of the characters that are introduced now in the show are going to be played as older actors by the end of this season.
Oh.
So that's interesting. But yeah, the cast is phenomenal. The story's really good. They're doing a great job. You can clearly tell that they have a humongous budget for the show.
Oh.
Because like they have 2 or 3 dragons per episode. Like full dragons. Not just
and
like...
it's a lot to hire a dragon.
It's notoriously difficult to work with, you know? They're just divas.
I know. They're like asking for all red M&Ms.
Yeah, they breathe real heavy. They got hot breath, you know? But that's good. Also, one other quick thing. She-Hulk. I know it's super early.
So, I like want to watch it because I guess I've seen all the Marvel shows.
Yeah.
But you know me, I'm like pro binge watching.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm like, I'm sleeping on it till it's done.
That's probably the best.
But that clip of her twerking with Megan the Stallion. The Stallion.
Choice. It's choice, man. It's choice
So,
entertainment.
How representative of the show is that?
It's just a silly moment in the show.
Okay.
Like,
But it's like on the silly scale. It's like a 10. So is the show like an 8 and it went to 10? Or
No,
is it like a 5 and that 10 came out of nowhere?
As a silly scale, on the silly scale, I'd say about a 7.
Okay.
6 or 7. Because, like, it's going somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure where yet. But, it's, like, it's fixed and or answered a lot of MCU problems already. Like, specifically around the Hulk.
Okay.
Like, why is he Bruce at the end of Shang-Chi? They answer that, you know?
Okay.
How is his arm fixed in all the trailers for She-Hulk when it takes place after Endgame? They answer that right away, like immediately. The meta-comedy, or the meta-commentary in the comedic fashion is funny.
Yeah, I did saw how they made fun of Edward Norton being like in the first Hulk movie.
Yeah. They're talking about, it's just like a quick like exchange where he's like, they're talking about Hulk and Abomination. He's like, oh, that fight was so long ago, I was a completely different person, literally. And then Jen, She-Hulk, she like, looks at the camera and she's like, ha ha ha. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like taking to the camera like that.
Yeah,
that's very high on the silly scale.
Yeah, but that's also
it's like
She-Hulk though. That's like the character. She's a fourth wall breaker, like Deadpool.
Okay. See, I don't know. See, I had no idea what to expect from a She-Hulk.
Yeah. So her and Deadpool are like the 2 top known fourth wall breakers.
Interesting.
And there's like fun theories that I've read about that she's like talking to the Watcher from What If.
In the show, or is that how the comics have like a...
No, in the show she's speaking to
that would be cool.
A presence that she's not quite sure who it is or what it is, but it ends up being the Watcher. And he's like kind of guiding her.
Who watches the Watcher?
Who watches the Watcher?
I did. I liked What If.
I did too.
I stand by that.
But yeah, no, She-Hulk's definitely... It's fun. I liked it. Not that Miss Marvel was bad by any means. It just changed a lot to the character.
Oh, I forgot to watch Miss Marvel.
It's good. It's just like they completely changed the character. Like not necessarily. Let me rephrase that. Not the character like as far as like who she is as a person in the comics. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much like page to screen perfect. You right?
Is it the origin story?
Yeah.
You comic book nerds.
No, dude. Like it's fine. If it's like one thing, like one, like it'll end up being fine.
This is like the Raimi Spider-Man where everyone's like, it didn't mutate his DNA. He can't shoot webs out of his hands.
I don't care about that crap. I'm talking about she's an Inhuman in the comics. They're not really talking about Inhumans at all in the MCU. Mm-hmm. So they're like they redid everything where she's like the descendant of some race of people from another dimension.
Oh, wow.
But, like, if you are a fan of her, like, comics like I am, like, it just doesn't match.
But they've just been so weird about mutants so much.
Yeah. But then at the end of it, they're like, or towards the end of it, they're like, oh, your genetic code is mutated. And then they drop
the ancient race of magical people no one knows of?
Exactly. Do you see? But, like, it's a good show. It's not a bad show. And it's super family friendly. Like, it's not, like, Sadie watched it. She loved it. I also let Sadie watch Midnight, and that is not a family friendly show.
No.
But
dude, when that zombie comes out or whatever,
Yeah, no, Sadie
was
didn't
so
watch
good at
that.
Moon
She was
That
like
was like the best part. I wasn't ready
the
for
tongueless czar or the priest or whatever that
Yeah.
was like clicking like a clicker from Last of Us.
Yeah, man.
That was intense.
That was so good. I started to watch like the kid Knight of King Arthur. I can't even remember what it was called. But it was like on Disney Plus. It was like came out 3 years ago.
Oh.
It's like a kid family movie.
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
kid
yeah.
who's like
I know you're
the
talking
new
about.
King Arthur. He's gonna fight a bully with a sword. Maybe, I don't know. Because it starts with like a cartoon of King Arthur's story.
Yeah.
And the villain is set up as Morgana, as like an evil witch, like. Rawr! And Lucy was like doing dishes in the other room, and then it like goes to the actual show, and it's like camera pans down. It's like, I'm coming back, fucking like, and Lucy was like, nope, and she just like left, and I was like, all right, I'll stop. And I ended up watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse again, and it's like every time I watch it, it moves up. It's like might be it's definitely one of my 3 favorite movies of all time now.
Dude, yeah.
It's just so perfect.
Every
time I watch it, I'm just blown away by how perfect of a movie Into the Spider-Verse is.
Yeah, which, like, I'm hoping that the expectations are, like, met for the sequel coming out.
Dude, and I'm trying to keep my expectations low, mostly because...
It's hard to do for this movie, though.
Into the Spider-Verse is so perfect. I'm like, nothing else can be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be worse.
There's...
by point of fact.
The 15, 20-second teaser that we saw is pretty dang good.
It's such a good tease too, because I'm like, I just want to see it. Let it come out. It's gonna be like a stupid 2-parter where we're gonna have to wait a year between them. That might be the biggest knock against it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
We could get an Empire Strikes Back out of this.
It's true. It's such a. I'm such a nerd though that when that 20-second teaser came out, I watched the breakdown and saw like all these like details of the animation.
Oh, nice.
That like when they go through. When Spider-Man 2099 like intercepts him and then like that first like weird like super colorful like Hindu looking place, like every action he does is written in Hindu.
Oh wow!
Like it's like thwip in Hindu and like
wild.
All the like when he like elbows him in the face, like when Miles elbows him to try to get away, like the crack is in Hindu or whatever.
That's awesome. It was because just watching it, I like paused it. Because, like, when they're running away from Doc Ock with the computer, like, after he realizes he can turn invisible or whatever. Yeah. Like, they steal, like, the donut or whatever.
He throws it back and it says bageled.
Yeah. The bagel. They saw bagel. It's like, bageled. And I was like, that's so funny. Such a small detail. Yeah. It's so perfect.
And then something else about the movie that also, like, kind of... I never even noticed how wild it is until I watched the breakdown video. They're like, also, what kind of weird dimension did they live in when there's like snow on the ground and the trees are still have leaves on it? There's like obviously several feet of snow, but the trees are still alive to that they were all.
It could just be the lake effect snow or something.
Lake effect?
That happens in New York, right?
Does it? Lake Placid. That's a good movie.
Missed it. All right.
So, go back and watch it.
That's what we've been geeking on?
Yeah, man.
That's what we're geeking on.
Yeah, this is a good geeking on.
Thanks for listening. Next episode coming up.
Stay tuned.
We're just going to set up the board and we're going to start playing.
Spirit Island.
A lot less liquor in it than I thought there'd be.
I mean, I'm sure you can make this into a drinking game if you wanted to.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying. I'm just giving suggestions out there.
You made it to the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Make sure to review, subscribe, like, heart, thumbs up, star, or whatever your listening platform lets you do to say we're something a human could listen to. You can message us on Twitter, Facebook, or Anchor.fm with all complaints and corrections. All the links you need are on AboveTheBoardPodcast.com. Stay above the board.
With Josh
and Phil.
You win. Perfect.